2 years ago, customers had set out to build using sort of old world Meep products that today are not living up to the support that they need for the very criteria that you just laid out. So it's exciting to hear that there is a space out there for what a mobile platform should be and what it can be. But let's go ahead and take a step back, because one thing we haven't addressed is sort of mobility and mobile apps in general. Okay. So every company thinks that now is the time and they want to go mobile. What are you seeing drive that mobile app frenzy? What's making these people do this?
Well, to simplify, oversimplify, there's really, you might say, two reasons. One is the competitive notion. My competitors are doing it, keeping up with the Joneses, but that's not a sustainable driver.
Right.
That says, well, I've got to pay attention, I've got to learn, but if there's no business value, then it's a nice to have, but not a need to have. And, and right now, you know, the economy on a global basis as well as domestically in the U.S. Is improving, but it's not out of the woods.
Yeah.
So organizations aren't just out to spend as much money as possible. There's got to be a compelling business value. We at Aberdeen Group have been documenting that business value for the last 4 or 5 years. We're not the only ones doing it, obviously. I think the message is getting across to organizations that there's a more compelling reason than just keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
Our data shows, especially in 2012 into 2013, our data has been showing that mobile apps are not about convenience, although they are about convenience. They're not about accessing mobile, your email while you're on the golf course, although, yeah, that's nice too. It's really about transforming the way you conduct business. It's really changing the way business is conducted. That says that it's a need to have, because if you don't, if you're not rethinking your business processes in this global world of faster every day, and of rapid technology change, and the fact that the entire planet now has access to the same technology, what's going to differentiate your business?
Yep.
How close you are to your customers, how quickly you respond, how well you meet their needs and understand their needs. And so the ability to listen and to adapt and to move says that you need to rethink your workflow and your communication and your collaboration, and mobility plays a central role, and mobile apps are where the off-the-shelf apps end and where your specific company workflow needs are met.
Oh, absolutely. It's the concept of, it's not about mobile, it's about the process.
Yeah.
And if you set out to mobilize an existing process that isn't all that great, you're going to end up with a mobile app that isn't all that great. If you rethink the process of how you work and you create a composite application that pulls information and data from multiple back-end sources into a workflow that works the way that your workers naturally work when they're away from the desk, that recreates the way they do their job and reinvents the ROI on all of those systems. And we've been seeing that for almost a decade, the ability to create the workflow that changes the way that you do business. And it seems that some of the larger back-end data companies have delivered these singular applications. So you can have my app and here's my data. But to pick on CRM, because that's what I do, salespeople don't like CRM. And now you've given them something they don't like in a small inconvenient package. And that doesn't change their ability to do their job. It just makes them not like something in a different format. But when you tie that data to sales data from a sales data warehouse, and you bring in inventory data and the ability to transact and create orders and order literature and make it convenient for them to do business, the ROI becomes how many additional tickets did I drop this month? How many deals did I do that I wouldn't have done before? And that changes the entire process of this. So that said, what are you seeing? What kind of applications are you seeing people build? What are the most exciting applications that your customers are building?
A couple of things here. One is that to your point around the business impact of bringing this data to the salesperson, for example, we've done quite a bit of research on this notion of decision support. It really is about taking this data that sits in your data center and putting it into devices like this. So that when you're at the customer interface, you know that customer's history, you know your inventory, if your product or your service, your next visit, your last visit, their entire interaction with your organization. You have it in front of you. You're able to make informed decisions to be, again, more agile and responsive. We talked about that before, about how that is a compelling differentiator. So some of the most exciting apps we're seeing are pretty mundane in the sense that they're not a lot of eye candy, but they're bringing that intelligence that only a few in the organization had, perhaps at the executive level or perhaps in a data center, data analysts, and putting it in the hands of those who are actually making the business decisions, the day-to-day, what we call the front line.
Right.
That's been some of the most exciting and transformative work that we've seen in mobile apps.